Hi everybody, welcome. Thank you for joining me for this video. My name is Kay Calendine, and right now we're going to be talking about how to adapt your questionnaires so that they can be used with an IDD population. Okay, so I found this quote that I think really gets to the heart of what we're talking about here. Nothing about us without us kind of captures that just like everybody else, individuals within the IDD population, they want to control their own destiny, right? They want to have a say in the type of treatment that they get and where they live, where they work, that type of thing. So it is important to make sure that we're capturing their voices as well as, other information, but that we capture their voices in any consumer experience data that you're collecting, right? So there's three areas that I want to address in this video, and this is of course a very quick overview. But the first thing that we're going to talk about is reading level and making sure that the reading level matches your population. We're going to talk about using pictures and icons, and then we're going to talk about the pros and the cons of using assistants and proxies. Okay, so first let's talk about the reading level. In general, you want to adapt your items so that they're at a grade 3 or lower. Now, of course, this is just a general guideline. If your IDD population is at a higher reading level, then of course you want to adjust that accordingly. Conversely, if they're at a lower reading level, then of course you're going to want to reduce that. Most of the time, reducing the reading level is simply a matter of restructuring your item the way that it's written. So instead of using passive voices, for example, you want to use an active voice. The first example here, when I need help right away, someone gets me the help. And that number that's behind that is the Flesch-Kincaid grade level scale, right? And so that's the scale that I'm going to be talking about here, right? So this particular item is at a 3.7 reading level. If we just kind of rearrange those words, we can get that down to a 1.5 reading level. And, so that's grade, first grade and a half, so halfway through first grade, to give you an idea of what those, what the numbers mean, right? And so that's really all there is to it. You just, you're going to want to rearrange your sentences. You can determine the grade reading level, and we'll go over that in just a second. And that's all really that there is to it as far as adapting the items to a grade level, okay? So the good news is Word can calculate the grade level for you. There's two steps to it, and I've written it down here, and we'll go over it really quickly, but then I'll go ahead and show you what I'm talking about. So first, you need to make sure that you set the filter so that the show readability statistics is checked. Okay, and once that's done, you can go into your document, go back into your document, you highlight the item that you want to check, and you just run a spell check. And at the end, it will give you a lot of information, and including that reading level. Okay, so let me just pull up really quickly. Okay, so these are the same items that we were just taking a look at. The first thing that I did is I went over to my file. This is how I turn on that filter. I go over to the file, click on the options down below, and then you'll see along the side, you'll see proofing, and we want to get on the proofing tab. Okay, at the bottom, actually at the very bottom, it says show readability statistics. We want to make sure that that is checked, okay, so that we do get those statistics. We click on OK, and so now we'll be able to check the grade level. This will show in the readability statistics for us. All we do is a spell check. I got to that on the review tab. It says that it's finished checking what I've highlighted. Should they check the rest of the document? You don't want to do that because then it's going to average all of your sentences. It's going to average the reading level of all your sentences. So we'll go ahead and click on no. And then what comes up is the readability statistics. And so then down at the bottom, you can see the Flesch-Kincaid grade level. And again, it's at a 3.7. So that's where those numbers come from. That's how you can determine the complexity or the level of the items that you're using, right? Okay. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is using icons and pictures as visual cues. Okay, so I'm sure that all of you have seen the frowny face to the smiley face that we've got here. And something like that works really well for some populations. You know, they can see the difference in you know, between the smiley face and the sort of smiley face and neutral and, you know, that kind of thing. Some individuals, I have had feedback that some individuals have challenges with that. And so we just dichotomize the responses, right? So it's either a frowny face or a smiley face. Some other feedback that I have also gotten is that sometimes within the IDD population, you know, somebody will say it's a smiley face because they prefer, you know, happy and smiley over frowny and sad, right? So they'll tell you it's a happy face just because that's the one they like, right? If you find that you're running into that, you may want to consider using something else like a thumbs up or thumbs down. That has a little bit less of an emotional connection. And so that might work better for your population. And you can also use icons for topic areas so that, you know, as your consumer is completing the questionnaire, they kind of have a good idea, you know, just a visual representation of, you know, what you're looking at there. Okay, that's pretty much all you can say about icons. Just it's helpful to use them. I have also seen surveys, questionnaires that have pictures in them, like photograph pictures, you know, and just something to help your population visualize what it is that you're looking for, like, you know, what area you're, you know, trying to get at. It kind of helps that, you know, that be conveyed a little bit better. So now, finally, we're going to talk about using proxies and assistants for the consumer to be able to complete their survey. Your best bet, the ideal situation, is to use a peer support or volunteer as your assistant or proxy. Okay, so having said that, on the other side, what you definitely do not want to use is one of your direct service providers or any individual that the consumer looks up to or might want to please, kind of thing. You know, and the reason being that they can't be totally honest about it. They don't want to hurt the other people's feelings, perhaps. You know, if they have problems with one of their direct service providers, they're not going to necessarily tell that provider if they're the ones asking the question, right? And then as far as family members, we'll go down to the, you know, caution kind of thing. Family members, and with all the best intentions, do have a tendency when they're filling out questionnaires to kind of insert their own views into it as well. So if you need to use family members in the data collection process, it's best to get simply the facts, the information from them, as opposed to asking them to interpret the opinions of the consumer, of their family member, right? And again, your best option is to use individuals who are familiar with the consumer and you know, how they communicate. Maybe it's just a pronunciation difference and, you know, they have a friend who, you know, can really communicate with them, or you know, maybe they use hand signals that's not necessarily sign, and you know, that person is familiar with what the consumer is trying to get across. Okay, so those are the kind of pluses and minuses of using peer support, of using assistants or proxies. And again, your best bet is to get a peer support so that your consumer is comfortable and you can get the best data, you know, the most accurate data from them. Okay, so I know this was a very brief overview of all of this. If you'd like more information on questionnaire adaptation for your IDD population, please feel free to contact Dee Shin, who is our Chief Research and Quality Improvement Officer. If you are watching this, I think you're probably familiar with who he is by now. And also Julia Ramsey. She is the USpeak Accounts Manager, and she'll also be more than happy to talk with you about adapting your questionnaires. So that's all I have today. Thanks again for joining me, and I hope you have a good day. Thanks.